This is a challenge to all of the camps, all the brethren out there who insist that in this day and age that we must wear fringes. If you believe this, then my question, my challenge to you is, what do you also have to say about this? We're going to read some scriptures that tie into the fringes, because they seem to focus on the fringes, but if you do the fringes, shouldn't you also do this? And we're going to read out of Exodus and Deuteronomy. Okay, so our first scripture here is, "And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth, for with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt." Now we're going to go a little deeper into this. Let's go to Deuteronomy. That was Exodus chapter 13, verse 9. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. We'll do verses 8 and 9. "And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates." That was really for later. And let's go to Deuteronomy 11. Deuteronomy 11, verse 18. "Therefore shall ye lay up these mine words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your head, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes." Now the reason why I mention this is that we know who these boys are right here. Well, some of us do, you know. I know what some of you call them, although I don't agree with that, because Ashkenaz right here is simply just a Gentile, not a Hebrew. So Ashkenaz, the people who call themselves Jews and they're not, this is what they do. Okay? Make it a sign on the forehead, frontlet of the eyes, also they bind it in thine hand. This is what they do. Okay? So is this not likened unto the fringes? So if you do the fringes, shouldn't you also do this? We'll scroll down here on the right part of the screen. Just, I mean, we maybe have all seen this before. This is what these boys do. Okay? So if you're doing the fringes, shouldn't you also do something like this? Now, I'm not saying you have to do exactly as Ashkenaz does, those who call themselves Jews. But shouldn't you do something somewhat similar based upon these scriptures? Is this not Torah? We're going to go back, so that's the first part of that. We're going to go back real quick. Let me read this one scripture again. So the second part of this is, let's go back to Deuteronomy 6, verse 9. "And thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates." Now let's go back back to Deuteronomy chapter 11. Let's go to verse 20. This is just going to be a chop session, not a in-depth lesson, just real quick. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house and upon thy gates. Okay, essentially it's saying the same thing. And then let's go back to Exodus. This is the last one. Exodus 13, verse 16. Exodus 13, verse 16. Well, actually, that was that tied into the previous one, but let me read that. And it shall be for a token upon thine hand, and for the frontlets between thine eyes. For by strength of hand the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. And that ties back into this. What you see these boys right here do. Those who call themselves Jews, and they're not. Okay, so let's now do this. Let's see what images we can get from this. Deuteronomy 9. Nothing comes up here, so let's go back. So when it's saying and thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. Okay, if we go to 11 and 20. Thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house and upon thy gates. Do you do this also? Do you write the law on your doorposts of your house and on your gates? You know, you live in a house, an apartment, a condo, your family's house, your parents' house, wherever it is you live. You know, do you write it on your doorposts? Do you write it on your gate? Because if you do the fringes, shouldn't you do this also? Aren't these commandments also? Isn't this Torah also? See, the thing is, these were ordinances for transgression. We were already given the law first, and our ancestors did not keep it, they did not obey it. And because we did wickedly in the sights of the Lord, we were given additional schoolmasters and taskmasters, additional laws to help us remember. Ultimately, you have to wear the law in your heart, which is your head. Because if your mind is on doing what's right, if your mind is on keeping the law, then so too your actions, your thoughts, your deeds, your words, all of your works should do the same. Okay, you shouldn't have to wear fringes or put anything on your head or wear anything on your hand or write anything on your doorpost of your house or write anything on your gate. Okay, you shouldn't have to do those things to remember. just like the man who was picking up sticks on the Sabbath. And that's the reason why we're wearing, or why the instruction for fringes was given in the first place. So if you can remember to keep the Sabbath, and if you can remember to keep the commandments, you shouldn't have to wear fringes. Also, you shouldn't have to do these things also. You shouldn't have to do, let's see if I can go back. You shouldn't have to do this like how Ashkenaz, the Gentiles, I know you call them something else, but that's what they are. Those who call themselves Jews and are not. You shouldn't have to do like this. It should be on your inner parts, not having to wear all this silly stuff on the outside. Now, if you have to do something like this to force you to remember, I mean, okay, I guess if that's, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But it should be on your inner parts, not on the outside, any kind of clothing or garments or anything like that. And as we can see from history, our ancestors never kept the commandments consistently. Okay? They always had a problem. So fringes and any other items you can wear in your body, writing the law on your doorpost and on your gates, none of these things are going to save you if internally you have a problem with simply keeping the commandments and doing what's right. So check out these scriptures. I'll write them down in the description of this video so you can go back and read them for yourself and test it for yourself. I want you to test it. But this is my challenge to all of the camps out there, to all the brethren, to all those that insist that you needs be wear fringes. Because if you needs be wear fringes, shouldn't you also needs be doing these things also? And I want you to go back. Let's make this a dialogue, okay? You can put it in the comment section what your explanation is, what your reasoning is. Give me your doctrine on why you have to do the fringes, but you don't also have to do this other stuff. When all of these things are the cardinal ordinances for transgression. Because if you're not transgressing the law, you shouldn't have to do these things. Just like the animal sacrifice, okay? Obedience is better than sacrifice, okay? Killing all those animals never was going to make a difference. Same thing here. Obedience is better than fringes or any other things you can wear on your body or writing anything on a doorpost or on your gates. He would rather have your obedience than have you do all of these outwardly things. It's what's in the inner man and not what's about the outside. So, like I say, read it, test it for yourself, get back to me in the comment section. Let's make this a dialogue. Let's hear your reasoning. Let's hear your explanation. What saith you to all of the camps? Shalom.